Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome back or welcome to Compleat's Lunch and Learn webinar series sponsored by Jibber Jabber. So whether you need outsourced IT support, technical assistance, or just want to enhance your existing IT teams, Jibber Jabber offers the expertise and service you need. We're thrilled to have Jibber Jabber as part of our Compleat ecosystem. Today's Lunch and Learn session is all about introducing Compleat's expense management offering. So today's agenda, I'll start by providing you with an initial introduction and overview of Compleat Expenses and how this solution could benefit your organisation, and then I will be providing you with a product demo. So just a brief introduction for those who don't know me. My name is Charlotte. I sit within the commercial team here at Compleat, and I've been with the business now since 2017. I work really closely with our customers as well as our partner network around all things purchasing and accounts payable automation, as well as on our ever-growing ecosystem of software solutions that we're able to provide to our customers. So what is Compleat Expenses all about? It's an application we are very excited to be able to offer to our customers, powered by our solution partner, Web Expenses, which enables businesses to better manage and automate out-of-pocket, travel, and credit card expenditure. This includes snapping pictures of receipts on a mobile app, which has built-in OCR to support with expense item management and claim creation, the linking of existing corporate credit cards, better management of mileage claims, and company expense policy enforcement. There is also an option to utilise expense cards to reduce or remove out-of-pocket expenditure or as an alternative to those corporate credit cards. So how will this solution support your organisation? Ultimately, we know that you've streamlined your purchasing and accounts payable processes, and those same efficiencies can be delivered for your expense management process. With 43% fewer errors, no more chasing for paper receipts or completion of Excel sheets at the end of the month, all looking to be saving staff and finance up to 3 hours per claim, providing more control, less administration, and fewer surprises. This solution will enable your organisation to better automate policy, save time and costs. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and start with a demonstration. So this overview will start with the end user mobile app experience, how a user submits a claim, how claims are approved, and how the account team can then interact with those claim items and other information that they can access on the browser version of the application, and how data, insights, etc. can be extracted. So I'm going to start by logging into my Web Expenses mobile app. All the features that I'm going to show you on the mobile app are also available on the web browser. We often see from customers that it's easier to be kind of snapping pictures of receipts and adding them as they go, so the employee doesn't need to worry about holding on to physical copies of receipts. In terms of the mobile app itself, it's available on iOS App Store and Android Google Play as well. So the view that I have here, what we're looking at now, is the view of a claimant user. So the dashboard view that I have is where the employee can see their personal spend, which we're looking at here, or I can scroll across and see our credit card spend with our unpaid totals, what's been approved, what's been submitted. From a credit card perspective, there is a direct live feed available with Visa, MasterCard, or Amex. So employees can review those individual credit card transactions and add receipts and other supporting documents as they go. So if I click into that credit card feed, I can see here the transactions that have synced through automatically via that live feed. You can choose to upload weekly or monthly credit card statements if you prefer, but we do find that most customers enable that live feed feature for ease. So I'm going to start just with an out-of-pocket claim. So at the bottom, I've got a plus button, and this is where I can either create a new claim item or just go ahead and select the camera to use my phone camera to take a picture of my receipt. And say I'm happy to use that photo. And then once I click the tick at the bottom, what we'll see is that the OCR scanning will automatically populate the key information from the receipt. So the date, the amount, and the description, which is the merchant that's been associated to this receipt. If this receipt relates to a cost spent on a corporate credit card, but that particular transaction hasn't transferred across yet because there can be a short delay, as with any credit card feed, it's usually around 24 hours before that transaction appears. At the top here, I can toggle to just allocate in the system that this is a credit card transaction receipt. And then when that transaction does link through, it will automatically link, which is brilliant. Of course, PDF receipts, other types of receipts can also be imported directly and either saved in the mobile app or downloaded and uploaded to the browser version of the solution as well. So I'll toggle that off. We're going to keep this as an out-of-pocket example. So the first thing that an employee, a claimant, would allocate is the spend category. These are completely customizable to you as an organization. We've got some examples here, and these are also linked from a back-end point of view to your accounting GL codes and structures. It's going to select that this is a subsistence claim. And once I've selected the category, I can see if there's a policy associated to that category. So you can allocate those policies at a category level. And you can see that orange info icon has popped up for me. And it's effectively at this stage a reminder to say to this user, your daily subsistence spend is X and receipts must be attached in this case. So this is just free text information that's been populated by our finance admin team. A spend limit can also be implemented. As mentioned here, you can actually require that receipt is attached. So it's reminding and prompting the claimant at the important stages during their process, just making those policies much more visible for you. Typically, we see that these sorts of policies are held on a PDF somewhere or within an HR system, so it makes it much more enforceable. With those policies, you can also have a soft or a hard policy. So a soft is where, similar to this, a claimant would be warned that the claim they're trying to make, the item is out of policy, but they will still be allowed to submit it for approval. A hard policy will mean that for out-of-pocket expenses, the user literally won't be able to progress past this screen until they've fulfilled the elements that would make that claim within policy. So if I scroll down on the form that I'm looking at here, I can see we've got a project on the form, which is really just an example of a tracking code or category. That could be a project, department, location. That could either be integrated and linked across from your finance system to match up, or you can actually add up to 2 custom codes at this stage as well if you want to. You've got a VAT rate, which is defaulted based on the category. And then at the bottom, the claimant can add an attendee. So for example, if I'd gone out with another colleague or I'd taken out a particular client, just for general tracking, I can free text add that information in there. Or I've also got the option to add a split. So this allows for the splitting of a receipt against different categories. So for example, if you had a hotel receipt, there was one line for accommodation, one line for parking. I could use this feature to split that out. This is also whereby I could split only or expense only a certain amount from an overall receipt. So for example, if I did have a hard policy around subsistence claims and I had overspent, where there's that hard policy, I can expense up to the amount that would make it within policy. I just come out of there. Once I'm happy, I've got the green tick at the bottom, which will allow me to either save the receipt, which will just make it available and saved within the application. Particularly if it's a credit card receipt, it will then be auto allocated when that transaction feed updates, or I can select to add to a claim. So if I've got any existing claims open, I could add that in there if they're open, not yet submitted, or what I'll do now is just click to add to a new claim, so creating a new claim. From here I can populate the claim information, so I'm going to add a title. So I'm just going to call this early March. I can add any notes or summary and just say maybe I went to a client visit. Things such as cost center or equivalent department or any other analysis tracking code can also be managed at a claim level. And it's also providing myself as the claimant a view of who the approver is based on the predefined approval rules, who my manager is, etc. that's been built into the system. So if I click tick, you can now see that we have a new open claim within my out-of-pocket expenditure dashboard. So now if I click into claims, I can see that early March claim at the top here, and either I can submit with a single item, or again at the plus button, I can start to add more items. If I've got more receipts, I could do that here. But what I'm going to show you is a different type of claim. So if I click the claim item just there, and we're going to look at a mileage example in case this is relevant. So when I select the business mileage category, you'll notice that this form has updated automatically for me. So I'm going to allocate a date. I'll say that this was yesterday. I can add a description. So I might just say journey to office. And then you'll see we have this from and to fields that have popped up. So the system has an integration with Bing Maps. And what that means is that I can either key in an address, or I've got here some favorites. It will also show you recents. And I can add that information in, and what the system will do is map the route for me. If, for example, there was a road closure, I went a slightly different route and I want to make sure this is tracked, I can actually drag and drop. If I zoom in, I can drag and drop on the map just here. It will also audit if I have made any changes to the defined route. So when you confirm the route, you'll see that the number of miles has been automatically calculated for me. My vehicle's been automatically allocated based on previous interactions with mileage claims. And we've got a mileage rate that's been defaulted as well. So in this case, 45 pence a mile alongside the HMRC guideline. You can also auto configure limits for over the 100,000 miles, where that rate may change, often dropping to 25 pence. Mileage is also fully customizable if you don't follow the HMRC guidelines for any reason. So you may also choose to add a passenger mileage rate option, for example. And that's absolutely fine. There is also the ability within the platform to enable CO2 carbon tracking. So based on mileage and the vehicle information provided, it will provide a CO2 amount to support carbon reporting, which can then be viewed and exported from the system. Carbon tracking data can be auto calculated for travel either via car, train, plane, motorbike, etc. So once I've determined the route, the number of miles, I can opt whether this was a return journey or not. I can then again add receipts if I need to, so kind of constantly looking at reinforcing policy to the claimant, or I can just go ahead and save the claim. So you can see here we've had an icon pop up in red alert, and it's letting me know that a receipt is actually required for this mileage item. So that's our company policy. Now, because it's a soft policy, I can still go ahead and submit this claim, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to click to submit. And then what we have popped up here can also be customized. So it's going to provide me with any additional information that my organisation wants me to have oversight of at this point in time. So for example, if you are claiming mileage, you may have a duty of care statement that you would like your claimants to accept at the point of claim when they are claiming mileage, confirming things like personal insurance, MOT, etc. if they're using a personal or business vehicle. I'm going to say that that's absolutely fine. Click to tick, and you'll see that that has now been submitted. So again, back to my homepage dashboard, that's gone from open to submitted. So what I'll do now is I'm just going to go into a slightly different profile and look at the approver user's experience. So the first is they've got this notifications area, so we can see that we have a claim that's been submitted for our approval. I can go into the approver, I can get a summary of the individual claims, or I can go into the individual claim items themselves. I can determine whether I'm approving both elements, one element. If I click to reject this one, for example, and say Actually, I'm not going to approve this. Please attach receipt. So I'm going to reject that particular item on the claim. And if I go back in and say this particular item, I'm happy to go ahead and approve. So I could select one or multiple items, click to approve, just say that this is all fine. So from an approver's point of view, really nice and straightforward. Push notifications on the application so that they're notified of actions that they need to undertake, and a very easy overview of approvals outstanding as well. So what I'm going to do now is we'll go and look at the browser user experience. So I'm just going to swap my screen shares for you. And what we're looking at here is the experience of the finance user. So the first place that I land is on this homepage dashboard. We've got a number of key reports available in the system. The first kind of bird's eye view around claim status is really useful. So current open claims submitted, anything that's been rejected, etc. There are also a number of customer requested reports that are available within the system. So, for example, top spender is a popular and useful report, and then also breakdowns of spend by category, for example. If I scroll down even further at the bottom, we have a report that was a customer requested report, which is top out of policy approvers. So acknowledgement that there may be times that claims need to be processed and accepted even if they are out of policy, but keeping a keen oversight on those particular approvers. So from a finance point of view, I have this high level overview of my tasks and my actions. So I've got claims to process and I've also got some open credit card transactions. So if I click into manage, the first tray that I'm looking at really is the personal spend overview. So these are all of the individual out-of-pocket claims that have been processed through, have been approved by the line manager or approver, and have now made it through to finance. So the one that we just raised for early March, finance can view the overall claim. They'd be able to go in and view each individual claim item, checking things like the receipts, the mileage route, for example. So I can go in, I can see the attached receipts. I can make any adjustments at this stage as well to things like project, or the VAT amount. Finance have the final say before selecting to process the claim. So I can go through, I can look at actions, I can look at the audit trail for this particular expense as well. If I just jump back, once I'm happy, I can select the item or items from the claim, again, rejecting if need be, or I can hit to process. So those claim items are effectively now accepted by finance when I'm hitting to process. Again, I can add some additional notes or commentary, and it's now going to push that data through to the reporting area of the solution, and depending on the integration method in use, will become available to or automatically post through the finance system for reimbursement. When we're looking at the particular credit card transactions from a reconciliation point of view, I can select the credit card account, I can select the billing period, and I can see here all credit card transactions which haven't yet been reconciled. So each individual credit card line is available for finance to check. I can go through, and once they've been approved, I can then go through and check these items. I can scroll along, I can interact with the coding at this stage as well. And then if I filter by approved, I can then go through and click that these credit card line items are reconciled. I can go in and review receipt information or anything else that I need. And also what the user has the ability to do. If I look at anything which is pending, these are all of the claim items where there's not yet been a receipt attached, for example, and then it obviously needs to be added to a claim and submitted through to a manager for approval. So I've got this tool to be able to just either notify all or do individual nudges, which is really useful. So it's going to remind those individual claimants that there are open credit card transactions that they need to add receipts for and create claims for. Otherwise, we can go through and I'll just touch quickly on reports. So reports are super flexible within the system, customizable based on any criteria. They can be shared via a link, they can be exported, they can be downloaded um, in any format that you need. So you can create a report based on different parameters, but I can look to view that report. And as standard, these reports deliver the data on a claim item basis, so either a credit card transaction or claim item basis, which is giving me the summary just here. There's that export option that I mentioned as well. And then a finance user, again, depending on the integration that's in play, can view the status of the accounts transfer and which data has processed through, and so on. So there are standard out-of-the-box integrations available with Xero, Sage 50, Sage 200, Sage Interact, NetSuite, or of course via a custom CSV export if that's what's needed. Finally, before I finish up, I did touch on earlier the ability to also enable expense cards. So there's no extra cost associated to the cards. They're just made available either as a physical card or a virtual card. You add funds into a central pot within the system, and then from that central pot, the individual cards can be allocated a spend limit. So that amount can be specified for a specific period, so whether that's daily, weekly, or monthly. Those cards can be frozen and unfrozen. Credit card transactions, as I mentioned earlier, can take a couple of days to come through, usually around 24 hours or more from a credit card provider. But with the expense cards, those transactions appear straight away. Those receipts can then be immediately attached in a very similar way that we looked at with the credit card linked feed. Expense cards can be added at any point in time if need be. One expense card per user, per employee within the organisation. And it's not that it needs to be a replacement for your corporate credit cards. If you're not looking for a replacement, they can be used in parallel. A single user can have a corporate credit card and an expense card, but it's really just looking to provide an alternative to those credit cards or an alternative to out of pocket spend if you're looking to remove that cost being incurred by your employees. Okay. Well, I really hope you found this introductory overview of the Compleat Expenses offering interesting and valuable. Thank you so much for taking the time. If you do have any specific questions or requests for a one-to-one kind of more tailored, more detailed demonstration, do send these through to the team, success@compleatsoftware.com. Thanks so much again for taking the time to join me today, and I wish you all a great rest of the week.